by the director's chair. And next to the director's chair, there's another chair. And on the back of the chair, it says Cage. She walks over and she hands the sunglasses. And she goes, "Here you go, Mr. Cage." And he reaches over. "Thanks a lot, sweetie." Puts them on and he looks, "Oh, wow, you're kind of hot." Jax continues to make his way through the island and finally finds Shang Tsung's temple. And when he gets there, he's looking around. He's like, "I know there's a door here somewhere. It has to be." These giant stone doors open out. Like both doors just slowly open out. And when they open out, you can hear like giant footsteps just boom, 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 boom. Jax looks up. It's fucking Goro.
Dynamic entrance kicking in the door like that. Turn up to the max, shooting energy up to the sky. Tap into the station 935, it's time to rock. Swooshy color backgrounds just to let you know we fly. Undefeated, never beaten, cause we got the skills. Striking all this black gold, you would think we had a drill. We got what you need, homie, so come and get your fill. Relax and unwind, it's time to anime and chill. It's time to anime and chill. Relax and unwind, it's time to anime and chill.
What's going on, man? You are now tuned into Anime and Chill. You are now chilling with your favorite N-word, the biggest anime nerd. I can say it. You can't. So today we're going to do last minute rewrites. If you haven't checked out last minute rewrites, we have one other episode of it on its own, because let me preface this by saying, let me preface this by saying we started last minute rewrites as a segment on Anime and Chill. We've done Captain Marvel, we've done Suicide Squad, we've done Batman v Superman. So yeah, we've got a couple of them under our belt. But I've had I've started a list. I've started a list of movies that I wanted to do last minute rewrites for. I did last minute rewrites for Thor: The Dark World, which I renamed Thor and the Enchantress. You can go on the YouTube page and check that out. Go to Anime and Chill. That's right, Anime, the letter N, Chill. Look up last minute rewrites. I think I have a playlist for it. If you look up the playlist, if you can't find it, look up Thor and the Enchantress. That's what I named the video. So, I gave you an overview of what last minute rewrites were in the last minute rewrites for Thor and the Enchantress. So, for today's episode, we are actually going to go to the top of the list, because I do have a list of movies that I want to do last minute rewrites for. So far, that list is about 3 or 4 movies long, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to add more movies to it. as time goes on. So at the top of the list, number one with a bullet, is Mortal Kombat 2021. Because like that movie had so much potential. So much potential to be like the best video game movie ever. Like the characters and the actors resembled each other like almost uncannily. Like it was uncanny how they were able to find actors who actually looked like the characters from the game, and they were able to get away with a lot of the moves, and the choreography was so beautiful, and everything about that movie like said, nah, this should have been the best movie. But then you get down to the bare bones and you look at the script, and you pay attention to how, as I said in animated show.
But it's like, once you get past that, the story, like, it was just, you dropped logic about halfway through. You never went back to pick it up. And then you just said, fuck it. We'll get it in post. We'll do it in editing. And you forgot to edit in the logic.
In last minute rewrites this week, yeah, because I'm gonna do them every week. I'm gonna try to do them every week. Last minute rewrites for this week with Mortal Kombat 2021. Like I said, the movie had so much potential to be great, and then it didn't flop, but in my opinion, it fell flat on its face because the logic, they lost logic halfway through. They never went back to get it, and they just kept building and building and building and building on top of this shit. And it was like, okay, you built all of this, but there's nowhere for you to go. It's like, you know, when you're playing Tetris, but you suck at playing Tetris, so you just keep dropping blocks till it gets to the top, and then it goes game over, and it wipes your whole board out. That's what they did with Mortal Kombat 2021. So, without further ado, I present to you Mortal Kombat 2021 rewritten. So, in the original movie, they open up with Hanzo Hasashi's family. And it's a day in the life of Hanzo Hasashi. His wife is doing the gardening, his his son is helping her, and he's running around in the yard and all of that. They got a baby, the baby is crying, and Hanzo is just, living a peaceful life. And he goes to get water from, I believe it's a stream or a river, not too far from where they live. So while he's out getting the water, his family is attacked by Bihan, who, if you don't know who Bihan is the original Sub-Zero, who we now know as Noob Saibot. Fun fact, Noob Saibot is actually Tobias Boone backwards. I know my gamers knew that, but to the uninitiated, it's a fun fact. So they do the whole thing where Bihan attacks Hanzo's family, and the scene itself, like the first 8 minutes, the opening 8 minutes of the film on its own is dope, but it's out of context with the rest of the movie. And I know you're thinking, how is it out of context? It's about Scorpion, and they even got the scene where he takes the rope and the kunai, and he ties the kunai on the rope, and now he's got the rope spear, and da-da. And I'm like, yeah, that's fan service, though. They did that because they knew fans wanted to see it. They didn't do it because it made sense for the story. You see what I'm saying? So, a better way to open it, or we just gonna go into it. The opening of this new Mortal Kombat, instead of opening with Hanzo and his family, well, we're still gonna open with Hanzo and his family, except we're not gonna just do like a regular day in the life and then they randomly get attacked. No. What we're gonna do is Hanzo, before we even open up with Hanzo, let me take another step back. Before we even open up with Hanzo, when we open up, we're gonna have text on the screen, but the text is really gonna be the narration that's being voiced over by the character playing Raiden. I didn't look up his name. I should have, but we're gonna have Raiden do a voiceover where he says, long ago, the elder gods got into a dispute over which realms were worthy of holding the idols, I'm guessing, of the elder gods. But some elder gods believe that Outworld was the strongest, so they should be the ones to hold the idols and represent the elder gods. But then on the other side, you had some elder gods that said the humans were more benevolent and peaceful, and that they should be the guardians and protectors of the idols. Right? So the elder gods could not come up they couldn't come to an agreement. So what they did is they said, okay, fine, we're going to do a tournament of combat in which we will pick representatives from different realms as our champions. We will pick different champions to represent us in this tournament. The first to get to 10 wins, or the first to get to 10 tournament wins, like you have to win the complete tournament 10 times. The first to win the tournament 10 times becomes the new guardians of the idol. Pardon. So the elder gods that believe that Outworld should be the champions, they decide to gather up their fighters. And that's when you start seeing people like Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung is going to be the first one that they pick. He's going to kind of be the conduit for the elder gods and the rest of the Outworld fighters. They make Raiden the conduit for all the Earth Realm champions. And so, they tell you throughout the centuries, they throughout the centuries they've had Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has occurred multiple times. Now, it's not gonna. Well, yeah, we can do it like an arena tournament. It'll be an arena tournament, and the arena will be. We'll put the arena on Earth, but it's also on like a ley line. And what I mean by a ley line, I mean that it's also accessible to the metaphysical. It's also accessible to the people of Outworld because of the ley line. The ley line gives it a mythical feel, and it allows you to kind of go back and forth and kind of toggle between Earth realm and Outworld. So instead of trying to do the whole movie and make it about this guy Cole Young and his experience, no, we're gonna do it like they did it back in the day. If you want an audience avatar, we will give you Johnny Cage. We're not going to create a new character and try to give him a family and all this extra bullshit. We're going to use the KISS method. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of fights. We're going to start with the fight with Melina. We're going to have Melina fighting, let's say, well, not Kitana just yet. We don't want to introduce Kitana just yet. Don't think we want to introduce Jade. We could do, let's do Melina versus Baraka. Right? And they're having their battle in Outworld to take the play, to get the spot of champion. Instead of doing the whole dragon marking, I mean, you could do the dragon marking thing. It could work. It would more or less work with the Earth competitors. So yeah. So what we'll do is we'll have the dragon markings, but also when we start this fight with Melina and Baraka, neither one of them have the dragon marking, right? So this is gonna kind of birth that, and then we get to explain what that is. So Melina fights Baraka, and like she barely wins. She wins, but it's not like she won dominantly, because in order to make someone look strong, you have to give them an obstacle to overcome, right? You can't just say, oh, this character is powerful. Okay, how do we know that? See, they're powerful. Look. See how powerful they are? It's like, okay, yeah, but you're kind of taking away from the show of strength. Like, what makes Superman look stronger? Telling you that he can lift a bus with one hand, or seeing him lift a bus with one hand? See what I mean? So, we're going to have Melina have a hard fight with Baraka. And it's going to come down to she has him beat. And she stops. And she looks back at Shang Tsung. Now, the crowd is cheering for her. Like, they want blood. The crowd is bloodthirsty. These motherfuckers are fiends for the fight. You know what I mean? So she has Baraka beat, and she tells him to yield. And he says, I yield. And as she's getting ready to get up off of him, Shang Tsung says, no. finish him. So she looks down at him and she takes her sai, which is the name of the blade that she's using, and she stabs him to death. Whether or not y'all want to show that on camera, that's up to the producers. However y'all want to do that. But for the story, she stabs him to death. So Melina is in. And I say Melina first because we also want to draw a parallel to Sonya Blade. But I'll get to that in a second. So Melina wins, she's in. The next person we see is Bihan. But he's not preparing for a fight. He's sitting next to Shang Tsung because he got a pass. And then you start to hear a couple of people who are in the arena say, "Hey, why isn't he fighting?" And then someone leans in to tell him the story, and then we go into a flashback. I think I might want to put the flashback before the preliminaries. If you're watching this, I apologize. So the first thing after the narration telling us what the tournament is, how long it's been going on for, why they do the tournament, after they give us all of that at the beginning, the very first thing we open up with is gonna be Hanzo Hasashi training for this tournament, right? And he's training for it, and we can keep it in the 1700s because, like I said, this tournament has been going on for centuries, right? So if it's been going on for centuries, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that they still had it in the 1700s. So he's training, like, and what I mean by that, he's got these buckets of water. He filled them up with water. He's using them like weights, and he's training and lifting them, and you know what I mean. And he's doing all type of exercise with these buckets of water on this bar. And then you see his wife come over, and his wife has a towel, and she's got a basket full of flowers, and his son is not too far behind him, and she comes over and she kind of puts her hand on his shoulder. She takes the towel and she wipes the sweat from his face. It doesn't sound like, it sounds kind of stupid or whatever, but what you're doing is you're showing that family tie. You're showing how close he is to his wife and kid without having to say, "Oh yeah, no, he's super close." Matter of fact, oh, I know y'all are gonna hate me. It's like watching a movie in reverse. No, so before we get to Hanzo training, what I want to do is I want to go back even further, but I want to go back like 30, 40 years from where Hanzo's training, right? 20 years. That's good enough. Go 20 years back. So we start with Bihan and his little brother, Kual Yang. And they're training in the snow. Like it's I don't want to say a blizzard, but the snow is piled kind of high. And you got Bihan and Kual Yang, who is the guy that we know as Sub-Zero. Because Bihan becomes Noob Saibot, and Kual Yang becomes the new Sub-Zero. But more on that in a minute. So, Bihan is, I'll say, about 18, 19. Kual Yang should probably be about 13 or 14. Right? And so you see them training together. They're doing their martial arts moves, but they're in the snow. And while they're going through their training, uh, Raiden's narration tells you that there are clans of people who practice what's known as cryomancy. And cryomancy is the art of manipulating ice. And they say it's a martial art that is learned at a very early age. They have to start when they're children in order to master the art of cryomancy. So, with that said, we show Bihan and Kuo Yang, right? So they're training and they get to the end of their training, and then Bihan is being a bigger brother. He's messing with his little brother. He creates a snowball in his hand. He kind of cups his hand and he creates a snowball and he hits Kuo Yang with it. And he goes, "Hey, what'd you hit me for?" And he's trying, can't make the snowball. So he reaches down into the snow bank and he makes a snowball in his hand and he throws it at Bihan. So the two of them have a little snowball fight like brothers do. They laugh, joke, whatever. But then you hear screams of terror coming from their village. They run back to their village as fast as they can. They get there to see everybody wiped out, like murdered, right? And they're running. They hear somebody moving to their house. So they run home to see if their parents are still alive. Their mother is dead. Their father is fighting off a ninja dressed in yellow and black. This ninja has a kunai on a rope. Their father fights him off. And when he sees his two sons, he tries to run and tell them to get out. He tells them, run for your life. He tells Bihan, take your brother and run. And as he's telling him that, you see the kunai come shoot out through his chest from his back. And then Scorpion just kind of pulls him in and get over here. And he pulls him back in. Bihan takes his brother and runs. So, back to the scene that I was talking about with Hanzo training on, at his house. It's springtime. So, like I said, his wife's got the basket of flowers and he's training and she's wiping the sweat from his face. It give you a nice little sweet family moment, right? And then all of a sudden it starts snowing. His son looks up and his son gets excited and, oh man, it's snowing. He goes running off. His wife chases after his son and is like, hey, don't leave, don't run. Stay with us. And Hanzo is like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's snowing, but bitch, it's April. What are you talking about? What is going on here? So as he's seeing it, he sees the water in the buckets start to freeze. He's like, oh no. Then you hear his wife let out a blood-curdling scream. He gets there, he runs to go find her. He finds his son frozen in place and his wife with a giant iceberg sticking out of her chest. Hanzo goes crazy. He's like, what the fuck? That's when you see all of these Lin Kuei ninjas start to come out of the woodwork, like literally. And they start to surround him. And then we get that scene that we got from the movie where he's fighting off the Lin Kuei ninjas with the rope spear. Well, it's a kunai on a rope, but it's called a rope spear. So he kills all of them, and the last person he sees is a ninja decked out in blue. And the ninja kind of laughs at him and says, "Revenge is a dish best served cold." And Hanzo is like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know you." And Bihan says, "Oh, you know me. You killed my entire family. You killed my entire clan. Bruh, when you fucked up, you left the children alive." So, we grew to hate you. And now, it's your turn to hate me. Sub-Zero and Scorpion have their first fight. And, like, Scorpion is getting his ass whooped. Well, I shouldn't call him Scorpion. Hanzo is getting his ass whooped by Bihan, who is in full Sub-Zero gear. Right? And just when it looks like it can't get any worse, Hanzo thinks, okay, if I can trip him up, if I can get him off guard, then I can take the upper hand. Hanzo not tricks him, but he gets the upper hand on Bihan. And just when it looks like he's about to come down with his kunai on him, you hear what sounds like a blade going through flesh. And then Bihan starts to smile. And then Hanzo looks down. And it's like I don't want to say a sword, it's a rod made out of solid ice that's pierced his chest. And Bihan is twisting it. And as he's twisting it, more icicles are growing out of the side of this solid rod. So you can only imagine what's going on inside of him. And it's like you see his eyes grow wide and he starts to cough up blood. And he tells him, he says, "I will have my vengeance. Even if I have to go through hell to get it, I will have my vengeance." Bihan tells him, "Yeah, well, you gotta go through hell first." Pulls the rod out, and in doing so, his chest just gushes blood, man. Like, I'm talking about, it's so much blood, the shit is ridiculous. And he leaves Hanzo on the ground to bleed out. Now, that's when you could drop the title card. Right? So then we go to the Black Dragon Fight Club. And if you don't know, the Black Dragon Fight Club is an underground fight club run by the Black Dragon organization, which is pretty much like an underground mob. Right? They're smugglers, dealers, they're into all type of illegal shit. Right? And so the Black Dragon Fight Club, there's two people in the cage fighting. There's I don't want to say Kano, because Kano's I have an important role for him. Okay, let's say Cabal. Cabal is fighting some regular schmo, right? Or some guy who's trying to take Striker's dragon market. And over the PA system, Kano comes on, he kind of taps the mic. Didn't mean to do that for real, but is this thing on? Is this thing on? Okay. Tonight we have a special event. We have a tournament qualifier. So there's an underground tournament being held by what is not a philanthropist, Shang Tsung. Not a philanthropist. One of the, yeah, we can call him a philanthropist. Because to the average citizen, he just comes across as a guy that's just rich. He's a rich asshole. And what do most rich assholes do for a living? They're philanthropists. They have their jobs, but like, you know, what they're known for. I digress. So Kano is talking about how this tournament is going to be held by Shang Tsung, and there's only a few spots open. Like it's not open to the public. Like you have to qualify to get into this tournament. And he was like, the only way to qualify is to have a dragon market. He's like, now, here's the catch. You can achieve a dragon market by killing somebody who has one. So, tonight, I introduce to you Striker. Striker, who used to be a cop and who knows Sonya very well, he was a dirty cop who ended up being fired, and the Black Dragon Fight Club hired him. So, he's in the cage fighting some random guy. Hey, if you want to throw Cole Young in there, here you go. He's fighting Cole Young. So, yeah, no. So, Striker and we'll call this guy Cole Young, for lack of a better character name. So, Striker and Cole Young are going at it, and Striker is beating the shit out of this guy. Not just beating the shit out of him. It's one thing to beat the shit out of a guy. It's another thing to beat the shit out of a guy and brag while you're doing it. It's like he's taunting the crowd, and he's talking about, yeah, ain't nobody gonna get this dragon market from me. Like I was special forces. I was a cop. I was this. I was that. Like none of y'all ain't touching me, man. Y'all ain't fucking with me. So it gets down to where he's got Cole Young beat, and the guy Cole Young, I quit. Being that Cole Young doesn't have a marking, Striker doesn't need to kill him. But he does it anyway. And after killing him, Striker just kind of, I don't know, gets like a surge of energy flow through his body. Like, oh, damn, that was a rush. I want to do it again. Who's next? So they send some other poor schmo in there, some guy who really doesn't want to get in there, but he's a spectator, and he was by the door when they opened it, and the crowd just kind of pushed him in there, and this guy's like, oh shit, I don't know, I don't want to do this. Oh no. So right as they're about to start fighting, all of a sudden you hear a loud explosion coming from the back of the building. And there's this big ass tank just comes rolling in. Out of the tank comes Sonya Blade. Right behind her is Jackson Briggs. Then you see the rest of the U.S. military following them. All you hear is guns cocking and everybody, hey. So Kano's like, hey, what the hell's going on here? And Sonya's like, yeah, this is an illegal fight ring. We're here to shut you down. Kano is like, yeah, I don't think you know where you at. So next thing you know, everybody in the Black Dragon Fight Club, they all start pulling out guns. Now, this unit of Marines, it's a small unit. We'll say like 7, 8 people. Right? And they're inside of this club full of like at least 100 people. And that's not counting the Black Dragon members themselves. Kano, Aaron Black, Cabal, and I'm adding in Stryker. Stryker wasn't in the movie, but I'm adding him in because I kind of need a place filler. So, Sonya tells Kano, yeah, this shit is over. We shutting y'all down. And Kano says, how about this? You fight me. If I win, I keep this shit going. If you win, we shut it down and we pack it up and go home. And Sonya's like, this isn't you're in no position to negotiate. And that's when you start seeing all of the crowd start to kind of close in and kind of surround the Marines, right? And so Jax is like, Major, I don't think you wanna. Well, no, General. He calls her General because he's the Major. So he says, General, I think we need to pick our battles. He said, I'm not saying we need to, that we need to be okay with this shit. He's like, but at the moment, we are outmanned and outgunned. And if we try to stand and have a firefight, we will die. And so Sonya reluctantly agrees to Kano's his ultimatum. She gets in the cage and she tells Kano, all right, come on down so we can do this. And he says, oh no, I'm not fighting you. That's when he sends Cabal. And Cabal kind of steps in the cage and he kind of cracks his neck like, yeah, I've been wanting to beat your ass for a minute. Like, look, you were the one that put me away the first time. So if Kano didn't come break me out of prison, like, bitch, I'd still be in there living in hell. So no, he's like, yeah, bitch, I want to gut you like a fish. So they Cabal and Sonya start having their fight, and Cabal is using his super speed, and it's like he keeps running past her, punching her, running past her, grabbing her with them hook knives, fucking tripping her, lifting her in the air, slamming her, and he's using his super speed. And so Jax is like, he's rooting for her, and he's like, stop letting him kick your ass. And so she decides to use her brain. He comes running in, she dodges him, and that's when she pulls out the garrote. She grabs him by the throat, but she does it like backwards, and she flips him over. And when she flips him over, he lands on his face. That's when we get to see the combat-ready Sonya Blade. And she throws her hands up and she starts moving in on him. He tries to run to the side. She trips him. He stumbles for a bit. And that's when she just gives this nigga the hands. Broop, 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 broop. He tries to run another way. She grabs his jacket. He turns around with the hook knife to kind of swing at her arm. She lets his jacket go. His momentum takes him downward. He falls. She mounts him and starts punching the shit out of him. So, she beats him down and she tells him, she's like, do you yield? Do you yield? And he goes, yes, I yield. And Kano comes on the mic and says, no, that's not how we do it here. Ain't no motherfucking yield. You kill him. That's the only way this fight ends. And she's like, I'm not going to kill him. She's like, it's over. I won. Pack it up. Get the fuck out. And Kano was like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. And under normal circumstances, that would work. He's like, but here's the thing. I don't give a fuck about rules. Next thing you know, Stryker jumps in. Stryker and Cabal get to beating the shit out of Sonya. Jax tries to get into the cage, but all of the people on the outside of the cage are holding him off. They're grabbing him, they take his gun from him, they're holding him by the arms, and they're keeping him away from the cage door. Right? So, Sonya is getting beat up by Stryker and Cabal until Jax throws her gauntlets. Well, he throws them into the cage. And he's like, General, we can't fight fair here. We have to. And so she grabs her gauntlets and she puts them on. Right? So she starts fighting off Stryker. Cabal keeps trying to sneak her. He keeps trying to, sucker punch her every chance he gets. Soon as she's focused on Stryker, he runs in with a quick little jab and it opens her up and Stryker gets a few more punches in. Well, one of the last times Cabal tries to do that, Sonya catches him, bow, hits him with a blast from the gauntlet. It immobilizes him. And he's like disoriented and he's trying to pick himself up, like using the cage wall. And Stryker is running in like with a weapon and he's finna sneak her from behind and kill her. And you hear Jax yell, Blade, look out! She turns around, and when she turns around, she's already got it charged. She hits Stryker at close range, boom, with her gauntlets. And that shit leaves a giant hole in his body. So that through his body, you see Jax inside the hole like that. And he's like, yo, what the fuck? What just happened? So, after killing Stryker, you see on her back shoulder, or on her back, like right next to her shoulder blades, you see what looks like a dragon in a circle, right? It burns into her skin and then it calluses over. And so she's like, shit, what is that? And she can't see it good. But after they regroup and they get back together, Jax tells her, hey, that dragon, you got a dragon marking on your back. Did they brand you at any time? Was Cabal running around with a brand or something? She's like, no. She said, I felt something hot on my back, but it was only after I killed Stryker. And he's like, oh, wow, what is that? We need to find out what that is. So, the next scene, that's when we get Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung now has Sub-Zero, Melina, and Reptile. Yeah, but I don't want to do like the full on lizard man reptile that they had in the movie, because yeah, they like the character of Reptile. They have said that uh, when he's away from his people long enough, he begins to take on the form of whatever people he's around the most. Like if it's humans, he begin to look human. If it's any other species of creature, he begins to look like that. But his natural state is to look like a lizard man. I mean, that's great for the lore, but I don't like the aesthetic of it, because it kind of takes you out of the whole movie. Like you feel like you're taking something that's fantastic and you're kind of grounding it in some kind of reality, but then you shoot right back up with the fantastics. You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna have him as an assassin, a ninja assassin. So it's him, Sub-Zero, Melina, and Shang Tsung. Now, upon hearing that the Black Dragon Fight Club was raided, and he's being told this by Reptile, because we're gonna let Reptile do the whole camo shit. So he was at the Black Dragon Fight Club. Nobody knew. That's when he tells Shang Tsung like, hey, Kano was captured. Kano and the rest of the Black Dragon Fight Club, or the Black Dragon, the Black Dragon organization. That's what they call them, the Black Dragon organization. He tells them Kano and the rest of the Black Dragon organization were captured, and Stryker died. And when Stryker died, his dragon marking went to the person that killed him. Shang Tsung asks, who killed him? Reptile says it was a human. She goes by the name of Sonya Blade. Shang Tsung says, okay, so we're not waiting for the actual tournament, because it sounds like Raiden has already started gathering his champions. And you know what? He's like, we won 9 straight without cheating. Fuck that shit. We cheating this time. We need this 10th goddamn win. If the humans stop us now, we're going to have to wait a whole nother 100 years before that ley line is active again. So, I want you to gather up as many fighters as you can. I will go pay a visit to Earthrealm. Shang Tsung decides to go to Earthrealm. Now, when he goes to Earthrealm, he goes outside and he shows up as like this like a oil tycoon. Like he makes all his money in like major shit like oil companies and all of the big ticket stock market companies. he has a share in all of them. Well, technically, he doesn't have a share. He owns them bitches. Why? Because the original owners, he took their fucking souls. He made a deal with them. You do this, this, and this, or I take your soul. You give me your company, or I take your soul. And so, in order to show this, they have him walk into one of the let's say he walks into like a big insurance firm, right? I don't just mean like a mom and pop spot where they do your taxes every now and then. I mean a Fortune 500 like law firm, insurance firm, something where it's like a big office. And there's a reason I'm saying this. Because you want him to come into the office and you have this long conference table and you have people on either side of the conference table. So you have the owner of the company sitting at the head of the table, no pun intended. The owner of the company is sitting at the head of the table and they're all talking business and they're talking about how they're having a good year and this, that, and the third. And then Shang Tsung walks in. The secretary comes running in behind him and she's apologizing to the owner. And she's saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I told him he couldn't come in here. I told him that you were having a meeting and this, that, and the third, blase, blase, blah. And the owner gets like, bro, he turns white as a ghost. And he tells the secretary, no, it's good. Just go back to your desk. Everything is fine. I know him. So he comes in and he starts walking around, looking at everything. You know, one of them bad guy moments where it's like, you know I'm finna kill you, but I'm finna draw this shit out as long as possible. So he's telling him and he's talking to him and he's like, hey, I'm gonna need access to that private island that you bought. And the guy is like, no. Look, the deal was I give you majority shares of my company. Well, not majority. I give you 49. No, 51. That I give you 51%, which is majority shares of the company. And so Shang Tsung is like, no. I want access to that island. The guy's like, look, can we talk about this another time? I'm kind of in the middle of something. And Shang Tsung goes, you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. He looks at the guy closest to him. He puts his hand on this guy's shoulder. And he says, yeah, your soul is mine. And the guy goes, what? And then Shang Tsung kind of puts his hand over the guy's face. And you see this green aura like kind of come out of the guy's face. And as he's pulling it, the guy starts to shrivel and turn into like a petrified version of himself or a dehydrated version of himself to where his skin is like dried out and saggy and all he is bones, not even no meat. And then once Shang Tsung takes it in his hand kind of glows for a minute and then the glow dissipates. And then you see the guy sitting in the chair like just dead. And everybody in the room is like, oh shit. And they start looking around. They go to get up to run for the door and he says, First person touches that doorknob, you're gonna end up just like him. Sit the fuck down. Looks at the owner and says, let's try this again. I want access to that private island. And the guy's like, what are you using it for? Don't ask questions. Just do it. He walks down a couple more chairs and there's a woman sitting there. He puts his hands on her shoulders, looks at the owner and says, all you got to do is say yes. And the guy is like, I can't do that. And the woman, like, she closes her eyes real tight. You can kind of see tears start to come down because she's dreading what's about to happen. So he said, okay, fine. But looks her in her face and look at me. Look at me. Open your eyes. She opens her eyes. My man goes, your soul is, and then all of a sudden okay, yes, you got it. You got it. Just leave my people alone. Shang Tsung looks at him and goes, pleasure doing business with you. He starts walking out, and then he turns around and goes, oh, one more thing. Looks at the lady, your soul is mine. Pulls that shit up out of her just for shits and giggles. And then he leaves. And so Sonya is like, yeah, well, let him come. If he wants a fight, we'll give it to him. And Raiden goes, no, he's especially coming for you. Because
Dynamic entrance kicking in the door like God. Turn up to the max, shooting energy up to the sky. Tap into the station 935, it's time to rock. Swooshy color backgrounds just to let you know we fly. Undefeated, never beaten, cause we got the skills. Striking all this black gold, you would think we had a drill. We got what you need, homie, so come and get your fill. Relax and unwind, it's time to anime and chill. It's time to anime and chill. Relax and unwind, it's time to anime and chill.
Sub-Zero comes in